name is Walid, the CEO of Unlock Blockchain. So I've been called today to moderate the session with people by far better than me, Melanie and Ahmed, to talk about the event business or the MICE industry in general. So, but we had very interesting discussion, yes, inside. So I'll try to mix both discussion, try to be relevant to what's happening in the market nowadays. So first, I would like to thank Ahmed for this opportunity. Very innovative way of doing a small event, because we're tired of events. So Melanie, are we tired of events?
I mean, on the one hand, we are tired of events because here it's so much going on and you can barely attend all of these events. So it's a little bit oversaturated, I would say. On the other hand, it's obviously important for us all always to come together and to discuss how we can bring this to more adoption in a sustainable way. How can we all grow together? And also how can we balance out that there are some people in our space that shouldn't be there. And
you're hitting it. Huh?
And obviously everyone who is malicious or having, any malicious behavior and intentions, shouldn't be in a space where we are all aiming for creating a better world, a better internet. And I think this is what we have seen, unfortunately, again, the last couple of weeks. That is draining us all, taking the good ones even down, and that shouldn't happen. Yeah.
So how do you identify good venue or good event as an investor?
Good event? Well, it's obviously always the content, that needs to be well curated, good speakers, really thought leaders. But also what I like is when there are some new faces, new people coming into the space, out of the box thinkers, because sometimes when you are in a certain industry, you're losing a little bit the oversight and you're just staying in your bubble. And this is why I think it's also important to always bring new people in. So could be, people from the real estate business, logistics or social media. Just bring fresh new minds in that look at our space and maybe challenge us a little bit more.
How to do that, Ahmed? How to do this? We've been talking to each other for long as a community. 20 events per day, people trying to balance doing the breakfast here, having lunch with another venue, and then having a dinner in another venue. But the same people are moving. So.
Well, for me, like when I look at an event, I'm a little bit, it's critical and sensitive here because like it's an event, and then talking about an event at an event is a little bit, especially when I'm the host, it's a little bit different as well. So, for example, like you at Unlock, you used to do your own events. I remember there were one of the first and the biggest in the region and in the city here back in the days when there was all the hypes about technology and especially blockchain, ICOs and all this kind of waves that a lot of people have served successfully and unsuccessfully, intentionally and unintentionally. And there is a lot to be discussed and learned from that. Also, Melanie, like I think not only an innovator in marketing and all this kind of tech and decentralization and democratization of data and ads and getting the word out and stuff. They hosted as well. I think the Superverse was one of the biggest metaverse-oriented conferences for this kind of new, hyped kind of innovation and stuff, or maybe a twist to an existing innovation, but in a new way that brings together the physical and the virtual with the data at the center of it. For me, having been working in the mice industry for the past half decade or less, almost with every major blockchain tech conference from LA to Tokyo, I've seen a lot. But there is a difference when you describe or define a good conference or an event from one sector to the other and from one jurisdiction to the other. So in the States, it's totally different than in Europe, totally different than in the MENA region, and absolutely different than in Asia. So Asians are a little bit sentimental, are a little bit emotional. You can create a brand or an icon or an idol, a person or an artist or something, and they will follow it. They have this kind of loyalty. If you build the kind of emotional attachment and sentimental attachment to what they are following, you can create a buzz around it, and they will create the community for you. So you will have your clients or your followers or fans doing all the hard work that you really will cost you an arm and a leg, will pay a lot of time and money, and you wouldn't even do a quarter of it. So this is a very good community, and I think this is where your focus is somehow.
My focus with everything that I'm building and working on and supporting also as an investor is always projects that can potentially reach more people than just the ones who are already crypto savvy or blockchain savvy and interested in it. So it's all about mass adoption, bringing new people on board. And that was our approach with Superverse, just saying we need to create an immersive experience that is so interesting that if we bring maybe some lifestyle influencers in that are not crypto influencers, that they say, oh my God, I need to post about it. I need to make video and content around it because it's so interesting. And Asia is definitely, was for a long time leading the wave in the crypto and blockchain industry. But we see it now here in Dubai. I would say Dubai is definitely one of the most exciting places currently, where most of the gatherings and togetherness is happening, and where we are also now, especially in such a crisis. And I think really we were dragged down into a total crisis. We were already in a bear market, but now we are in a real, in a shit market and in a, just mentally affected. I see it with everyone. I have, friends who lost money, a lot of money. I have lost also a little bit myself, but not, thankfully not serious. And, but it's not about the financial loss. It's really, I think, the mental, excuse my French, but fuck up, where you're thinking, how can we go now, continue in the next 6 to 12 months and really develop to a next level, and get out of this mental breakdown is pretty tough. And with events, obviously, in this moment, I was thinking, this morning about you and doing this, and thanks really for setting this up and bringing us together, because it's not easy right now. I know also I'm a friend of Patrick, who did last week Web3 Dubai, and it wasn't easy. And Juan Lee, who also did Meta Week, he told me at Meta Week, oh my God, it was 10 times more work than ever before. And he did, 70 conferences or something like this. He's the most experienced one. So running events is really tough. And I did Superverse in 6 weeks and I nearly died because it was too challenging. And so I have great respect for everyone who was constantly trying to bring us all together and creating these, amazing experiences here, being on sea. So thanks again for that.
Thank you. To stay relevant about what's happening nowadays, so the criminal kind of Sam, he's attending one of the conference and speaking in one of the conferences. So I'm not sure if I am managing a conference, shall I call him in? Shall I accept him on stage? That's the same question I'll continue later on. So you said about you highlighted how to point to bad actors in the market. Do you see that event organizers are keen to keep the bad actor outside the scene, or if they receive enough money, they are putting them on stage anyway?
What?
This is why I stopped doing events. So
I mean, to be very honest, I think if I would have a chance to speak to Sam, I would do it. Because just I'm really curious always about, figuring out the real motivations behind it. And on the one hand, I understand everyone is thinking, how can we give him a platform? Why is one organizer inviting him? On the other hand, so far he's not in prison. So far he's having not a trial. So far he's not, there is no real, no one yet really going after him. So we need to use the time to figure things out. And so I actually think that it's not bad letting him speak, because we can just learn more, and get a sense what's going on in his mind, and hear what he has to say about it. I think it's not, I can imagine, no matter, how criminal and whatever it is, that it's also not easy to speak for him at these conferences now. I mean, he must think that, what is everyone else thinking about him, and that he owes a lot of answers.
If he gonna speak the same way he's tweeting, so I don't think the speech is gonna be interesting speech. So Ahmed, what do you think about that?
Well, for me, I was just like for the past couple of days or something, we on Disrupted, we published a blog article or story, a press release about Sam Bankman-Fried as the most generous billionaire back in March. And it was not through us directly. It was through Nusayr Khan, who flew to the Bahamas to record with him, or Nas Daily, one of the most, if not the most, followed social media channel on social media. And then when that was before Crypto Bahamas, that was done in the Bahamas back then with Salt by Anthony Scaramucci, Skybridge, and they were our sponsors last year in Disrupted 2021. So, but we didn't do it directly through them. We did it directly through Nas Daily. We picked it. It was one of our picks of the week.
Judging you to
yeah, but I've been like people like after this kind of scandal that happened, and I have been criticized from very close and intimate people in my life. Oh, that's your friend. Those are the guys you're hooking up with. They are very low people, even if they are very rich. And I said, guys, I don't know the guy personally. I hope I would at least have got some money. So I'm joking about it. But okay, I know a lot about the internalities of SBF, of CZ, of a lot of these crypto gurus, and especially the exchanges back in the days when they were starting, when they were working from their homes on their beanbags and in their shared accommodations with friends and stuff. But to bring him on an event, I don't think he's going to be honest. He's going to be defending himself in an indirect way, saying what he wants to say, not what he really believes in, because when there was nothing against him, he was already not kind of lying, but, like trying to polish himself, as everybody does, as I do, as anybody does. So expect it more when he's under the spot and people are criticizing him. He will try to look better. So I think he will not say something that we can learn off. We can just learn how to lie. So this is the thing that we might. I'm not accusing him personally, if anything. Maybe he will be honest and brave enough to share a lot of things and stuff. I don't know. Maybe if we receive like a request from them to be on our Disrupted, we might think about it and discuss it. Because for me, as the topic of our panel is what makes a good event, and as Melanie highlighted, it's the content. So that's why we try to make the most curated content. Very short, bite-sized. We even get it accredited as a CPD hour that adds value. And so we are not just trying to have a 45 minutes panel. We only have like 15 minutes here for this talk. So people don't get bored. And a lot of the people who you see on stage for 1 hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes are just as smart as a couple of articles they read on Medium yesterday. So actually you don't have to listen to them as much as you need to read. So I think that's it.
So instead of putting Sam on stage, I believe you agree with me that you might need to put his investors on stage and start blaming them why they didn't do their due diligence correctly.
I mean, just going also back to what we all thought about Sam and about FTX and so on, and I'm including also myself. I mean, it was hitting most of us by shock. What happened now? It was not so easy foreseen. And there are maybe some people who had already some previous insights and had this kind of, I don't know, smell that something was going wrong since some time. But still, most of the people, even the super knowledgeable one in this space, did not expect such, such a, either whatever you call it, from rug pull to draining the system. And so we all thought to some extent he's smart. And I assume when you think about the VCs and the people who invested in him, he must be. Yeah, I mean, they would have not put so much money on the table, if he would have not impressed them and if his vision would have not, driven them to give him so much money. But I think there is one thing about being visionary and believing in a founder and in this future that he's painting. And the other is just looking into the books. And there was definitely something wrong and this is part of the due diligence process that I think such a big VC or the big VCs should do, is obviously looking carefully into the books and seeing where's the state of the assets and I mean, where is the company? And I think there were clearly things going wrong. Somehow they must have missed a lot of red flags. And on the one hand, we had this discussion.
Follow the FOMO, right?
Well, we had the discussion, I forgot your name, but you said the investors are only responsible for their LPs, basically, which is true. Yeah, they got the money from the LPs and are responsible for the LPs. But on the other hand, the bigger your name is in the venture capital business, the more responsibility you still have also for retail, because you need to know that your name is a sign of trust. And this is where I where I have a little disagreement, where I think then you are even more responsible to do good due diligence. I mean, sometimes I can understand you also FOMO in, or you hear, this guy and this company and invested in, and I just tag along. But especially the lead investors have a certain responsibility. And there was clearly also something going wrong. And just saying we set it to 0 is then not enough.
So he want me to conclude, but I want to just highlight a small point about retail VCs or retail investors or the VC scene in the region here. So I used to introduce different projects to different VCs, and then I never heard feedback, right? So why is that? And then when we discuss with VCs, so we end up by learning that they are just following the big guys. So if Sequoia invested in this project, so it's obvious that they will follow and invest in this project without really doing their job in terms of due diligence. So our VCs here are doing due diligence on the projects that's going on in the market.
Well, I thank you both. I think you should do this answer. Well, okay. Big VCs and big investors, they add a lot of credibility, because when you have a lot of money and you have a lot of a portfolio that has a lot of big names that are home runners and they worth billions of dollars, people just think that you're so smart, or either you have been lucky and you're maintaining this luckiness, and you have the connection and you have the accessibility. So they try to follow you because they know that big money don't fail. So we see big companies getting bailed out or getting reinvested again and restructured again by their own investors who just lost their billions. But in order not to just accept the loss, they start to play the game again. It's a rolling ball. It's a snowball. One of the problems that we have been seeing for the past couple of years is just it's all exits from funds to funds, but no materialistic exits in money. And sometimes it's just in equity. And they wait until they get listed and they sell it. So they buy it at a premium and they sell it at a discount. So I was questioning, where is actually the materialization or the realization of the profits or the capital? And of course, when it comes to the private markets and VC and private equity, it's less transparent than in the capital markets or the public markets. Because in the public markets, you have the daily curves and charts, and you have the statements and everything, you can see the smoothness and the changes every day in the value and the effect of the news, of the politics, of the economic cycles, of the market conditions, of the management of everything. But the reporting for VCs, they are reporting for themselves. So seriously, and you get it once a quarter. So you see just in a different, discrete time snapshots. You don't see in between. Within this quarter, did the value go up or down? It might have went through to the roof, or it might dump down. And then by the end of the quarter, it was doing great. But in the middle, there was a lot of risks and serious things that you needed to pay attention to that would have made you exit this investment or have made you double on it. So I think this is my answer so far.
Thank you, guys.
I mean, here for the region, because you were also asking what's about the region here, the regional VCs. We need to see this is still a very young environment here in Dubai and in the UAE. The VCs that now went into crypto, into the blockchain space, there are just a couple of, a few, and they are also pretty young. Yeah, the VCs are, I don't know,
two years.
Making a lot
of noise.
Yeah, the thing is, I still understand founders are first always oriented to the big names, and they are trying to bring their pitch in front of the big names, and then obviously the newer ones are following. Yeah, so it's yet not where I would say as vibrant as Dubai and UAE here is. The venture capital scene is still very young and still, improving, learning, and a little bit more a tag-along approach than really getting already being the first one in the game and making the first bet. So, but that's also something we're evolving. That's why there are, ecosystems here that are now accelerating, incubating. We're bringing more companies here actually to the region. And then the access is always easier because you get to meet each other, like in these events, right? And then you get a feeling for the founder scene, etc. The founder scene is also tiny yet. I mean, it's growing, which is nice, but it's you cannot compare it to the ecosystems that were now already evolving over the last 6 or 8 years.
Thank you for the nice conversation and the nice sunbath. So, thank you, everyone. Hopefully we had, I wish that we had a longer period, but